If you guys have not tried out the Prize Picks app, you got to download it right now. You guys know me. I've tried every single app when it comes to firing on sports, and Prize Picks is by far my favorite. What I love about Prize Picks is instead of choosing teams, you're choosing individual players. So it makes the game so much more fun to watch. You go on the app, you can either go more or less on the set projection that each player has. Put a bunch of picks together. The more you choose, the more it's going to multiply. I just love Prize Picks. I can't watch a game without firing on Prize Picks. It makes it so much more fun. If you guys have never tried out the Prize Picks app, we got you guys on code NELK. Plug that into the app the first time you download it, and if you put in $5, you're going to get $50 for free with that code NELK. So take advantage of code NELK. That's for you guys to use. Prize Picks is available in over 40 states, including Texas and California. It's March. College basketball is going insane right now. There's never been a better time to fire on Prize Picks. I'm going to be firing pretty much every day. So download the Prize Picks app, the best app in the game to fire on sports. Take advantage of code NELK. Let's get into the pod. All right, me and Shawn are starting out the pod. We're tossing in a little Alp. Shout out to Tucker. You were on Tucker's too? Or
No, I've been on Tucker.
You've had him on, right?
Yeah, super cool dude.
How was that? He's the man, right?
I love that guy, man.
Did he get you into...
He came to Nashville and had like a launch party for this at,
okay.
At Ramsey's place, and I was like, fuck it, I'll try one. About knocked me on my ass, and then I was like, I kind of like this.
I just love the burning on the lip.
Me too.
You know what I mean? That's like the main thing, right?
Yeah.
Did you see what we did with him when we gave him the big Zyn container? Did you ever see
No.
that? So we surprised Tucker with like the world's biggest Zyn container. I'll show it to you after.
Nice.
Yeah, we like flew it in on a helicopter.
I don't think he's a big fan of Zyn anymore.
Not anymore. This was like a year and a half ago. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. But no, dude, I'm pumped to have you here. Shawn Ryan, this guy's become like an absolute inspiration to like millions of people. I know you're in the Navy, you're in the CIA, so much military, experience and stuff like that. And now you started a podcast, and I think you've just obviously become like a help to so many people and inspired so many people. Did you ever think that, like back then, did you ever think you'd be doing like a podcast now that's so successful?
No, definitely not. I didn't even like talking to people. So I still get nervous for these damn things.
Yeah.
Do you?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
You're considered a legend too, so you always want to do a good job, right? Who's the craziest person that you've had on?
The craziest person
Obviously, you've had Trump, so.
Man, I don't know, man. I've had a lot of like really good interviews, but I don't know. And every time somebody asks me this, somebody new, somebody different pops into my head. But I had this dude, Chris Beck, on, and like one of the most brilliant minds that I've ever encountered, like just a super smart guy. But he was the first, maybe the only, hopefully the only, but transgender Navy SEAL.
Really?
Yeah. And he wrote a book called The Warrior Princess, and then he transitioned back into a man. Yeah.
Started as a man, went to a woman.
Yep.
And then joined the military?
After he was a SEAL.
Okay.
He transitioned to a woman. I mean, as you could imagine, the SEAL teams just like lost their fucking minds.
They probably weren't happy. I was going to say.
Yeah. I just think it's like fascinating to get in somebody's mind. I really wanted to know, like, how does this happen? Especially to a SEAL. And we're pretty headstrong guys. And so I was like, how's this going to go? And I also like, I wanted, I mean, he had transitioned back. So I wanted people to see like what that looks like and the effects, that it has on people. Cause I mean, it sounds like it's getting better now, but at the time, we heard all this stuff about kids transitioning in Washington. They were confiscating kids, from their, or they were taking them. The state was taking them if the parents didn't want the surgeries to happen. And so I was like, well, let me get inside this guy's head and like, let's talk about how this happened and what the effects are. It's one of the most fascinating interviews I've ever done.
Check that one out. What did he accredit it to?
Long story short, so super like rough childhood, a lot of like sexual abuse, and his dad was pretty abusive. I think him and his dad has since made up, but he had some brothers and sisters, but he was like the whipping boy. They would take him in and just knock the shit out of him. And so what he did, he did not want to be a woman, but what he would do is he would go up in the attic and like skip school as a child and put his sister's clothes on. And he goes, I didn't want to be a woman or a girl. He's like, I just didn't want to be me. Sexual abuse by the neighbor. Dad knocked the shit out of him all the time. So he would just put these different clothes on and pretend he was somebody else. And then after he got out of the SEAL teams, he rode with the Hells Angels, cocaine, whole gambit, with like a lot of us do. We just lose our minds when we get out. And so he wanted to get better. He started going to therapists, and he got the wrong therapist. And I don't know if you've ever done any therapy, but they always go back to childhood, right? She started talking to him about his childhood, and he said, like, yeah, I was severely abused as a kid, and I would put my sister's clothes on as like a young, like 10 years old, probably. And and she like kind of like mind fucked him into going, you want to be a woman, you want to be a woman. And he was still fucked up on opiates and coke and all these other drugs and stuff. And don't quote me on the exact drugs, but it was a combination of a lot of things plus booze, like a lot of booze. And she told him to write a book, and she helped him write the book. And when he was all fucked up one day, she slid over the contract, and he just signed it, not realizing like he had signed like everything to her.
Damn.
So he wanted to redact the book, and he's like, I don't want this released. And she's like, sorry, bud, like I own you. And so the book got released, and then he decided he didn't want to be a woman anymore. So he came back. But
that's awesome. Yeah,
he didn't go the full gambit though.
Yeah, that's good.
He didn't go the full.
You don't want to go full gambit. Right?
That's good.
You've had Trump on. How do you think he's doing so far? I know I saw you said on Joe Rogan's that America maybe aren't the good guys anymore when you were on there. Do you think that now Trump is in office, has that changed at all? Or what's your outlook on that?
I got to be honest, I'm not following it as much as I should be. I'm kind of exhausted with the political, environment. But I mean, he seems to be doing good. I mean, the Doge stuff. I mean, I'm a little worried about the economy. I think that the government needs to be cut. I just interviewed the secretary of the VA yesterday, and they're getting ready to slash 83,000 jobs, which they need to. I mean, there's like 480,000 government employees in the VA, and there's only 450,000 active duty in the Army. There's definitely an imbalance there, but you see all these jobs getting cut, and I'm kind of wondering like, well, how's this going to play out with the economy? But at the same time, I'm not saying we shouldn't be cutting these jobs because there's so much fat to trim in the government. But as far as being the good guys, yeah, I mean, I think it's great that we're pulling out all these wars. But I mean, we go in four-year increments.
Geopolitically, I was saying too, because I saw recently, I guess we struck the like Iranian. Is it the Houthis in
Yemen?
And then you got the Gaza and Israel thing going on in Ukraine, Russia. What do you make of like the geopolitical like wars going on right now? Is it a scary time or?
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, just Israel alone, that's, who knows how that's going to go. I don't know. I'd like to see us pull out of everything. I'm not really sure what we're doing over there, but
do you think Trump can put an end to the Russia-Ukraine thing?
I think he's off to a good start. What do you think?
I think he can too. I think he's a really good negotiator, and he seems like he's just a people pleaser, right? Too. So I think you never see him insulting someone. Like he doesn't insult. I guess he insulted Zelensky, but maybe he knows that you got to insult Zelensky to kind of get to him too. But I think if you insult Putin, you piss him off, and then he's never going to make a deal with you, right? So
yeah.
What do you think was like the most nonsense war that America's ever been involved with?
Jeez, I would say it's a toss up between the Vietnam War and then probably right around the Iraq War. I mean, I'm not super knowledgeable on Vietnam, but I don't know what we were doing in Iraq. Even when I was there, I mean, I was all about the mission and, doing the work and killing people that wanted to kill us. But, it's like, did we really need to be there? Probably not. I mean, if you look back, at Halliburton and Cheney, those ties, and I mean, he's a part of the biggest logistics company in the war, the only logistics company in the war. Yeah, man. Do you know about this shit?
I mean, I know a little bit about it, but I'd love to hear from you.
Yeah.
So what is that? Define for our audience. Like, what's a logistics company?
Don't quote me on this. I'm going to butcher it a little bit because I didn't know we were going to talk about this. But Cheney was, I believe he was the CEO of Halliburton. And so if you went to Afghanistan, if you went to Iraq, Halliburton pretty much ran all logistics for both of those wars. And so what I mean logistics, that's like they're building the fuel stations, they're building the chow halls, they're building the barracks, they're doing the laundry, they're cooking the food, they're sorting through the mail, they're
for the U.S. military.
For the U.S. military. So I can't remember the percentage, but the majority of people that were over there were actual contractors, right? And the way these things work is all these companies will put bids in, for government contracts. Well, it just so happens that, Halliburton won like all the bids. And so there was definitely an incentive. I don't know what his ties were when he was vice president, but to come from that company to the vice president and then to win all those, the company that he came from, Halliburton, to win all those contracts in a war that we probably shouldn't even have been in. Just basically everything you see, all the infrastructure that was built, everything, it was all Halliburton. I mean, it's the military industrial complex, like unraveling right before your eyes, and I didn't realize that when I was there, because I mean, we're busy doing, sniper work and all kinds of other shit. And then even into Afghanistan, it's kind of like after the Bin Laden raid, it's kind of like, what are we doing here? like in the ROE starting to really tighten up, and the Obama administration really kind of chopped our legs out from underneath of us. It got to the point where Marines would be out there, and if they got shot at and the guy dropped their weapon, they weren't supposed to return fire and kill the bad guy. But it's like, if that's what you're gonna do here, then like, what the fuck are we doing here anymore? You know, you're not even letting us do the job. We're not killing as many bad guys. It got to be only the tier one units were doing any real work. I think probably the Afghan war, you know, or the Operation Enduring Freedom, whatever you want to call it, afterwards, after the Bin Laden raid, was kind of senseless, and it just seemed to drag on, and then the entire Iraq war.
Yeah, you have an incredible story. I know you joined the Navy when you were 18.
Yeah,
And did you do 8 years in the Navy?
I did 6 years. I
6
did
years in the
a little
Navy.
less than 6 years.
What made you want to like enlist originally, like all those years back then?
I wasn't really good at anything growing up. I wasn't an athlete. University wasn't really a path forward for me. Plus, I would have just blew it with Happy Dad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Every day, all day long. I was always into like GI Joes and shit, even as a kid. And the military, I just always had a draw to the military. I wanted to go to war. I didn't know what that looked like, and so then I started looking at special operations stuff, Marine reconnaissance. Nobody would take me because I was little. Nobody really took me seriously. I was probably like $130 maybe. And the Navy recruiter like stuck his head out and was like, "Hey, have you ever thought about being a SEAL?" And I was like, "What's that?" So he gave me some pamphlets. I went home, studied it, went to the library. We didn't have the internet at the time, and checked out all the books, started renting movies about SEAL teams. The National Geographic and Discovery Channel stuff was coming out. And so I was like, yeah, let's do this. And I wanted to make my dad proud, man. I just always felt like a failure being the oldest and just fucking everything up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all I really cared about was booze and chicks.
Yeah, I'm still in that phase. I'm getting over that
good
phase.
for you, man.
Just getting over it.
It took me a long time to get out of that phase.
Right? So 6 years in the Navy, what was that like?
You know, went to boot camp. That was kind of a joke. And then went to BUDS. That was really hard for me. Got through that, went to SQT, went to jump school, and then showed up at SEAL Team 8, only to find myself to go to Europe, to Germany, some more booze and more chicks, which was great. I was just like, man, I didn't go like through all this training to
booze with Germans,
beat people up at Oktoberfest and shit. And so I had made my decision to get out then, and then we got back, and then we went to Afghanistan. We did some stuff in Afghanistan. It was right after Red Wings happened. So Red Wings was the Lone Survivor movie with Marcus Luttrell. And so it just wasn't like a great time. You'd think we'd go over there and just fucking kill everybody.
What was that like? Like
it was
getting
somber,
deployed
man.
into Afghanistan.
I mean, it was surreal. You land and like, it's like another world over there. You see how people live and stuff. And I mean, that stuff's fascinating to me to see people living in caves and mud huts and shit like that. And I mean, those people are so poor. They'll put, if you had a bag of fertilizer or grass seed or something, you throw it away, they like hang that up in their house as art. But we didn't do like a tremendous amount. We hit a couple of targets and brought back some bad guys and threw them in a little hole and interrogated them and stuff, and worked with the Canadian Special Ops guys, which were awesome. Those dudes were like really cool to work with. We got sent home early because of Red Wings. It just got very political. That's when I realized, I was like, I'm done, man. Like we did like maybe 3 operations that were pretty cool, but it wasn't everything it was cracked up to be. So I volunteered to go to Iraq. And
what year was that in?
That was 05, 06. And jumped into my sister platoon in Iraq, and then we got pretty busy. We were there to like, it was another mission that I just wasn't excited about. It was protecting like the prime minister or something. And we had an awesome boss, OIC lieutenant, and he started farming us out for a bunch of sniper work. The very first mission we went on, I was there for like a week, and then we were doing real shit. So basically what he did is he like looked for conventional army infantry units or supply routes that guys were getting killed on with IEDs, and they were getting blown up. So they would send us in. We'd do like a reconnaissance targeting package, figure out where these guys were getting blown up, if there were any patterns, and we would bring in a couple of the guys from that unit, like teach them like, this is how you set up a hide. We'd teach them everything from setting up a sniper hide in an urban environment to shooting to targeting to finding patterns. And then we would actually go on the operation with them. And the first night we went out, we killed like 4 dudes, I think. like within,
Sniping?
yeah, well, kind of. They wound up being like 50 yards away, but it wasn't like a miraculous sniper shot. But so we had these guys come in, two dudes on a moped, and so they were planting the bomb in the same exact place, like I can't remember, it was like every Thursday or whatever at 8 p.m. And these two dudes would roll in on a moped, pull out the bomb out of the back, plant it, wire it up, try to drive off, and we smoked them. And so they're laying on the side of the road. Once again, like my badass boss, OIC. Then there was this taxi, and he kept like driving circles because the convoy, the army convoy, had gone by, and the explosives didn't go off because the guys that were going to initiate it, we had killed. They came by like another time. They came by like 3 times. All of a sudden, you heard my OIC go, "Matty, light that fucker up." And so here's the road, a sniper hide on this side in a building, sniper hide on that side of the building, and then we had 2 automatic weapons guys that basically like the M60 machine gun. It was like an upgraded version of that. And there was 2 guys on top of the roof, and they just peeked over the lip of the roof, and you just saw like tracers, just like heavy machine gun fire coming down from 2 different angles, hit this fucking car, blew it to shit, kept driving, hit like a electrical box. The electrical box blows up, and then we were like, right on. We were like, right on, who was that? And it was, I mean, he was obviously involved because he kept driving by to see if the explosives, why they didn't go off. Then we called in the army to come in, like do the cleanup and bag the bodies and pull all their IDs and shit. And so it wound up, we had killed the 2 IED emplacers, which were just, little minions. And then the guys in the taxi, one of the guys wound up being the cell leader, like the IED cell leader for the entire region. And we just, killed him. And so that was really cool. So we did a lot of that stuff in Baghdad where we were just, and then none of those guys they didn't get blown up again for the rest of the time. They took everything that they learned from us and killed a bunch more people. We ran into them, bad guys, not people, terrorists. But we ran into them right before we left, and they were like, "Dude, we've been getting it on." So word got around, and then all these other units started calling. They're like, "Hey, can we use you guys over here?" And so we'd go over there and then kind of do the same thing all over again.
What was like the civilians like appetite when you guys were there? Were they like angry with you guys, or were they like happy you guys were there? Like, because I know at some points they were saying like you guys were just being policemen there at a certain point, right? I don't know if that was when you were there, but
nah, we were never policemen. But I mean, look, I guess the way you can kind of look at it is America, right? You got super blue states and super red states, and I'm sure if you go to a super blue state, a lot of people hate you. Right. You know what I mean? And if you go to a red state, a lot of people probably like you, and that's kind of like how it was over there, And so we would go into these places and break in and set our sniper hides up in people's houses and people's buildings. And like that particular instance, the shoot I was just talking about, that operation, they were emplacing those bombs in this woman's like right in front of her house. And she had little kids, and she's actually the one that told us. She was like, "These guys come every Thursday at 8 p.m. and my kids are outside trying to play, or like they're coming in and breaking my windows, and it's causing a lot of violence." So she like dimed them out and was like super happy that we're there, super happy that we killed those people, those terrorists. I don't know why I keep calling them people. But, and then you go to other places where the town was black, and black means no Americans are allowed in there. Nobody's allowed to fly over it. No helicopters, no tanks, no Humvees. And then they would send in the SEALs to go and kind of take care of business on the outskirts of the town, or they'd send in the Marines to a place like Fallujah and just, wipe everything out. It was kind of hit or miss, but the majority of the places that we operated in, they were like really happy that we were there. So yeah, we went into this one place, and like I said, it wasn't my specific hide, because we have like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hide sites all around a designated area where we thought they would show up. And these guys broke into a house. Another sniper team on the same op broke into this house and wound up being an Iraqi prostitute. And you would think that they don't have that stuff because they're all, full dress, like they wear the,
a prostitute broke
into.
Yeah,
no. We broke into a prostitute's house. and she didn't speak any English, and those guys didn't have an interpreter, but she kept trying to tell them, I guess, that there were going to be visitors. showing up.
She's
But
like,
she
yo,
was
I got a
super
business to
happy
run.
that they were there.
Oh,
She's
okay.
like cooking for them and making tea and all this other shit.
So the prostitutes loved you guys too.
Yeah, they low, yeah. But you'd have like these Iraqis banging on the door and she'd have to shoo them away, and then 15 minutes later another one would bang on the door and she'd answer and shoo them away, and it was like they came over comms like I think we set up in a prostitute's house. Like, well, make sure you keep watching the target. No, don't get too busy over there.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, everybody, most of the people were just like really happy that we were there to kind of get rid of the bad shit that was going on in the neighborhoods.
You put your life on the line there and like you served there. Looking back now, do you think that's a war that should have happened or?
No, at the end of the day, man, you know, there's people trying to kill you and you're trying to kill them. I hate to say it like this, but everybody's just doing what they believe in. Those guys believe that we're the bad guys and we believe that they're the bad guys, and you know, only God really knows. We probably should have never been there. If somebody were to infiltrate our country, I'd do the same damn thing they were doing to us. I'd kill as many of them as I could. But no, I don't think we should have been there. I do think that we killed a lot of evil, you know, in that country. But should we have been there? No.
But Afghanistan, that's a different story. You think that one was justified?
Yeah, I think that one was justified up to a certain point. And then after that point, I mean, look, we went in there to eradicate terrorism, right? When you start getting these stupid rules, like the one that I had mentioned earlier, they were sending the Marines into the hornet's nest and giving them these ridiculous ROEs. Like, if they shoot at you and they drop their weapon, then you can't shoot back. And it's like, dude, like,
that sounds like
they're
they're
either
just being
going to
sent
get
out for
killed
slaughter.
or they're going to be worried that they're going to go to prison. So if you don't want them to kill the bad guys, that's when I was working for the agency or contracting for the agency. We didn't fall under those rules, but you know, it was just like, man, like, what the fuck are we even doing here? After that Bin Laden raid, if the goal wasn't to eradicate every terrorist within that country, then what are we doing there?
What's your opinion on 9/11? Do you think that's something that could have been prevented?
Definitely. I mean, we got a warning. We got several warnings, right? But you know, I went over and interviewed this guy Ahmad Massoud about the funding that we're doing to the terrorists right now, and what the withdrawal was like, because those guys were on our side. There was an alliance, you know,
The most recent withdrawal, like in
yeah, the most recent withdrawal, and we turned that over to basically our enemies. And all the guys that fought along with us, like there were a lot of Afghans that were on our side that were fighting with us, and I mean, 20 years these guys have fought with us, and then we just left them. Well, they're still there fighting Taliban, fighting Al Qaeda, fighting these, you know, terrorist organizations. His dad was the guy that we were going to partner with, because he had that alliance. But way back then, his dad was also Ahmad Massoud. He's known as the Lion of Panjshir, just a phenomenal warrior and leader. Bin Laden killed him, had him assassinated. They set up a fake interview where they sent in like a news crew. I believe it was 2 days before they did 9/11, because Bin Laden knew that we would use the alliance, the resistance, to infiltrate Afghanistan and to use them to like help us get the lay of the land and use their intel networks and all that kind of stuff. Well, they had set up an interview much like this, but they put the explosives in the cameras. So they started the interview and then blew the cameras, and it killed Ahmad Massoud, the Lion of Panjshir. Well, he had tried to warn us days before that this was going to happen, and nobody paid attention. You know, and so
like he said, there's going to be an attack on U.S. soil.
Yep.
Wow. And who did he warn? Do you know?
He warned the administration, the Bush administration, and they didn't take it seriously.
Because there's so much weird shit with that, like all the Bin Ladens flying out.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird stuff around 9/11. But yeah, I mean, it could have been prevented.
So when did you join the CIA?
I got out in November of 06, and I wanted to be a businessman. I'd read Trump's books on deployments when we weren't doing anything, and I was like, man, I want to do what this fucking guy's doing. And so I thought I would get out and start a real estate empire, and that didn't work. And so I was gonna open a Jimmy John's with my dad. I didn't have any money, and he didn't have the money to fund it either. And so I was like, there's this contracting thing that I can do, and pays really well. And so I was like, maybe I can go over there and just work for like a year, and then come back, and we can just pay for it cash and start this damn sandwich shop and open a whole bunch of them. So I started contracting, and I tried like all these. I just floated my resume everywhere with the NSA, actually, you don't really know like who you're applying to
Yeah, how do you apply to like?
So there was like all these companies out there where they would, they would take your resume and kind of farm it out and put you in groups, like, because at that time contracting was huge. So they had like police officers and DEA agents and FBI and SEALs and Green Berets, and they would take like your experience and put it into a tiered system. When the agency or the NSA or the DEA or State Department, whoever needs guys, they're like, all right, well, what caliber of warfighter do you want? What capabilities do you want? They would tell the company, this would be like to a company like Blackwater. And they'd be like, well, we want all special operations guys that have been in for however long. So they would go into the resume files and the tiered systems and be like, all right, here's who we have. It'd be yes or no.
Mhm.
And so then they would call all of us up and say, hey, you're trying out for this thing. We need you here at this time. But they wouldn't tell you who the client actually is. So I got picked up and tried that and got through the vetting process. There was a handful of us. I think out of all, it was all spec ops guys, and I think there was like 3 or 4 of us that actually got through it, got through the training, passed all the qualifications. It's called a vetting process. And then at the end of that, they're like, hey, you're going to be contracting for CIA, and here's the dates we need you to leave. And so that's at the end of that is kind of when you get your briefing.
That is so interesting. So it's these private companies that
Yeah.
are getting paid
It's a middleman.
by multiple different agencies
Mm-hmm.
to go and fight.
It's not fight. It's not like an offensive force, you know. And like my thing kind of, it was a protective detail for spies.
Okay.
And then when we got in there, they started to realize like, oh, these guys are a lot more capable of doing other shit than just protective stuff undercover. And so they started using us for all kinds of shit. Yeah, that's kind of how it works. You know, I mean, it's like when you build a house. If you build a house, you get a general contractor, and then he finds the drywall guy, the plumber, the electrician, the roofer, you know, the window guy, all that. And so it's essentially the same thing. They would go to a company like Blackwater or SOC or MBM, and they'd be like, this is what we need, and this is the caliber of people we need. Blackwater or SOC or whatever the entity was would do the recruiting and say, hey, we've got 50 guys ready to go, already qualified, like everything you're looking for plus some. And so they would be like, boom, Blackwater wins the contract. Agency pays Blackwater. Blackwater pays us. We go do the work.
Wow, that's so.
Yeah.
That business of war is so interesting.
It is, isn't it?
I didn't know it worked like that.
That's how it works. That's how it works.
So, and the CIA is funded by taxpayer dollars, or is it privately funded too?
No, it's taxpayer dollars.
Taxpayer
man.
dollars.
Yeah, as far as I know.
Right.
And it's cheaper. You know, it's cheaper for the government to do it that way than do a big military recruiting push or whatever, you know, and then you're paying, you know, you're paying retirements and you're paying, you know, healthcare and all that kind of shit and for the families and da 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 da. So, and this is like a quick thing, because I don't think anybody really realized that the war was going to go on as long as it did. That way, at the end of it, they don't owe you anything, you don't owe them anything, you just cut ties and that's it. Plus, it's a great way to just, hey, we don't know who these people are. They're just contractors, you know.
Even when you employ someone, it's easier to make them a contractor than an actual employee. So it's just the same thing, right?
So I did that for, I don't know, a number of years, maybe 4 or 5 years. And then I took a break and I was like, I need something different. So I started doing this anti-piracy shit. And at that time, like, I don't know if you heard the Captain Phillips story. The Somalian pirates were hijacking all these tankers and cargo ships and stuff. So they would throw us on, and then if they tried to hijack them, then we would kill them. And so I did that.
So you were on different ships?
Yeah, it was horrible, man.
In what region was that? Somalia?
It was, so you would jump on wherever, but it would be game on when you got into the Gulf of Aden, which is like in between Yemen and Somalia. They would like, it sounds cooler than it is. It was the most boring job I've ever had.
Oh, really? So there's no action?
There is, but it's like very far and few between. So like the first one I did, we got on in Mauritius, east of Madagascar. It's like this little island country, interesting place. But you just get on there and just do nothing but work out and mess around and, you know, screw off and until you got into the Gulf of Aden, which could be weeks.